Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Tuesday, the 9th day of September. Here we go. Today's halacha is a little bit more about shofar blowing, and let's say it happens that you're not going to the regular shul for whatever reason, like let's say someone in the house needs you, or you're in the hospital helping with someone, and in shul you would have heard the shofar blowing at the regular ordinary time, but because you're accompanying someone to the hospital or whatever, you have to hear the shofar very early in the morning or very late in the day. So when is it too early and when is it too late? Let's just discuss that quickly. Specifically speaking, it's best to try to fit in the shofar blowing between sunrise and sunset. Between those two times it is daylight, and during daylight time all day Rosh Hashanah it is still okay to blow the shofar. So if you're stuck being very, very early, you can blow the shofar as early as after sunrise. If you're stuck doing it very late, you can blow the shofar as late as just before sunset. If for whatever crazy reason you have to do it before sunrise, the rabbis do say that as long as it was after the crack of dawn, that's still acceptable. It's not what we try to set it up to do, but if you're stuck, you could blow the shofar at the crack of dawn, which is 72 minutes before sunrise. Same thing on the other end. If you're stuck, you can still blow the shofar after sundown, and the latest time for that would be until the 3 stars come out. That's when Shabbos ends in your area. At nightfall, then it's too late to blow the shofar. Okay, more facts for you. If it ever happens that Rosh Hashanah comes out to be on Shabbos, then the halacha is that we don't blow the shofar on Shabbos, and the reason is fascinating. Although it's a very big mitzvah to blow the shofar, and it really helps us in many ways, we won't blow the shofar on Shabbos because it's possible that one Jew somewhere might carry the shofar inadvertently, and we don't want any Jew making that mistake, and therefore instead we say no Jew anywhere blows the shofar on Shabbos Rosh Hashanah. That's a startling and amazing fact if you think about it. We all need the mitzvah, we all want the mitzvah, and yet because of one Jew's possible mistake and us wanting to save that Jew from that mistake, because of that no Jews anywhere blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, that is Shabbos. Incidentally, if Rosh Hashanah were to come out on Shabbos and there was a shofar which you're not using, because it's Shabbos, and shofar was just lying somewhere where it was in your way, that shofar would have the status of a kli shemalachto le'isser, a vessel whose work is for prohibited things, because you're not supposed to be using it on that day of Shabbos. And because it's a kli shemalachto le'isser, it would have all the status of that kind of vessel. And any vessel like that, like a hammer, on Shabbos is a kli shemalachto le'isser. And the status of that kind of item on Shabbos is that you're allowed to move it for 2 reasons. One of them is if it is in your way, or another one would be like you need to use the shofar. Let's say, or you needed to use that hammer to crack open a nut, or you need the shofar to funnel some liquid onto your food, or whatever. So if you needed to move a shofar on Shabbos Rosh Hashanah for any purpose that's for its place, because it was in your way, or letzarach gufo, or because you needed it for itself to use as a funnel, you would actually be allowed to do that on the day of Shabbos Rosh Hashanah. But interestingly, on Rosh Hashanah that isn't a day of Shabbos, then the shofar falls in the category of huksa lemitzvaso. It is muktzah for the purposes of the mitzvah, because it's a day that you use that shofar for mitzvah. So when the shofar is in the status of huksa lemitzvaso, like on a regular day of Rosh Hashanah, so on that day you're not allowed to move the shofar if you need it letzarach gufo, if you need it to use as a funnel, and that's because it is in a higher category of muktzah on a regular day of Rosh Hashanah. There it's in the category of set aside for its mitzvah, and something that's set aside for its mitzvah is not allowed to be used for more mundane purposes. So watch out about that. On a regular day of Rosh Hashanah, don't just be moving around the shofar. The only reason to move the shofar on a regular day of Rosh Hashanah is to use it for the mitzvah, and that's it, but not to move it for its place, and not to move it for things like because you wanted to use it as a funnel or whatever. Hope that wasn't too complicated. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.